as well. Try and make a nice roach mix. Finally, a decent roach. Morning, welcome back to the channel. This morning is Tuesday the 26th of August, 3 minutes past 6. Just finished setting up and just thought I'd do the final sort of run through of pellet feeder versus conventional. I've just come down to the River Wensum and I've set a little plumb about. I'm not clipped up. I've clipped up this line, the conventional one, but I haven't clipped up the pellet feeder one because it's quite weedy here. I know this bit's been sort of raked out, but it's still packed as a thick weed, and I had a cast about. I didn't want them too close together either. So I've literally got the conventional one about halfway, and the pellet one 2/3 of the way across to where that. But as well, I didn't want this one clipped up. With I've got a 14mm sauce boiler in there, or pellet, and I plugged it with some dampened micros, and then a mixture of 2s, 4s, 6s and 8 pellets inside. There's always a chance of a carp, you know. So I've not clipped up, and I've got the ratchet set pretty loose, just in case you get an odd road carp coming on. I literally just cast in, first cast for each one, but I should probably give it till 8 o'clock, 7:30 maximum, and if things aren't happening, it's not developing, or I feel like, you know, slow, nothing's going to happen, I'll just pack these rods away. I've got my whips with me, I've got my pole with me, I've got all the usual baits. I can start feeding a whip line, and we'll just see if we can catch some fish, so we're not just writing off a session and it's going to be a complete waste of time. So we'll start with this, and if it ain't going to work, it ain't going to work today, and we'll just go through a bit of normal fishing, just see what we can catch. So we've got a mixture of pellets there, 2s, 4s, 6s, 8s, some mini max boilies, mixture of pellets and dumbbells and wafters, 8mm pellets. There's a nice big fish just jumped over there. Fully dampened 2mm, I can squeeze them, plug the feeder. I have got later on as well. What I was thinking is, with this £10 line on here, if nothing happens, and I set up a whip, I've got some cell boiling and ESP boilies in there, life system, whatever it is. I can always just shove a boilie on them, a lead, and just chuck a few boilies over the top and have that as a sleeper rod. As usual, I've just got some hemp casters, sweet corn maggots, a few worms, ground bait, the usual suspects. I've got some dead maggots in here which are absolutely refusing to die. I shan't be using that method of just putting them in cold water, because say they've been in the fridge for a good 24 hours and submerged in cold water. And I've had them double bagged for 2 days, but they still come around. So I'll just go back to my normal method of just covering them with cold water and slowly adding some boiling water out the kettle, keep stirring it, and a little bit at a time until they just stop completely. But I thought today as well, I'll just go steady and feeding as I go. And I'll probably stick to about 10-minute casts, I think. What's all that about? A territorial marking, right? I have a few little knocks on the conventional feeder. I went over to sweet corn, but nothing there. So it's gone back to maggot. It did have a really big liner. The rod nearly flew off the rod rest. I'm just trying to move the rod so I can get a bit better angle on it. It's better to my left now, but I'm struggling to see the bites or any knocks. I'll probably raise the rod tip, I think, just so I've got a more direct line to the feeder. Just put the slightest bend in it and just see any knocks and bangs. 6:38. I'll give it to 6:48. I'm just going to say stick to 10-minute casts and just slowly build it up. After the last session I was down here when I balled it in about 12 balls, cricket balls of ground bait. It just totally blew the peg out, just totally ruined it. So I'm just going to go for a softly approach and try and build a little swim up. I know the bream have been on the move, and there's a couple of sightings saying they was heading up towards, last week, towards New Mills Yard. Like the law courts area and bits and pieces. So there might be a few in the area. Apparently it was a massive shoal, like 200 plus fish, heading up to New Mills where the oxygenated water is, which would be the back of New Mills, the non-tidal bit, not the tidal bit. Oh no, sorry, the tidal bit. Just saying I'm going to keep a close eye on the time, and if I feel nothing's going to happen, I'll just pack these rods away, get the whip out, get the pole out, and just see if we can catch anything. I mean, there's plenty of roach and rudd and everything, plenty of fish topping. There's a guy to my right, he was down here 5 minutes before me. He's after the carp, and there's one to the left of me, he's come down after the carp as well. I think he was looking to come in here, but first come, first served, I'm afraid. As it's a totally free stretch road. But it's slow at the minute, and that's why I want to just very gradually ease the peg. Don't push anything too hard. I'm just putting a pinch of bait in. 5 or 6 bits of corn. Same with maggots and casters. There's always plenty of fish topping here. I'm pretty sure a little shallow waggler would do well for the roach and rudd and that. We've had our first fish anyway. A little roach. It is 17 minutes past 7. It's been really quiet. I've just gone double white maggot. And the bites are tiny. So I'll probably give it another hour. Stay till about 8:30, and I'll just put the slightest bend in the tip and not putting a lot of bait in. Mainly maggots and casters now, just to try and pull anything in the peg. I've just gone back to where I sort of raked it out, which is dead in front of me. I've only got a 30 gram cage feeder on there. I'm just trying to put the slightest bend in because it's about a 2 ounce tip. It's carbon fibre. And that one was just a couple of tiny that I just struck and it was on. I do it for a softer tip really. But I didn't want to go with braid. I'm only fishing quite close in and it's a bit too direct. Braid's alright when you're fishing at distance. It's only £3 mainline, 2.3 pound Silstar hook length, size 16 B520 on there. Absolutely zero on the pellet one, but I suspect if anything did take it, it's more likely to be a carp than a bream. But the ratchet is really loose. But I'm still going to strike because I've still got like a 2 foot hook link on there. With it being so weedy and it's a gentle flow, I want that pellet to sort of like hang back off the pellets coming out of the feeder, so I'm prepared if that tip goes down to strike. 7.23, I'll give it to 33 if I don't get a bite and bring it in, and as I say, I'll probably give it to a maximum 8:30. I'll pack away the conventional feeder, leave that out as a sleeper rod, probably just put a bomb on there and a boilie, and then we'll set the whip up. Might even set the pole up as well, I think, just where, so I can get over when the feeder's landing. Just edge like a 1 gram, 1.5 gram maximum float through the peg. It's really gentle flow. Made 2 little changes, but it's made a massive difference. Instead of roach, I've just gone back to conventional loop to loop sliding feeder, and I've just moved the rod tip up slightly now. I just wasn't seeing the bites before with the rod tip down low to the water, even though it's flowing really slow. I put the rod up and I can just see every bite, and it's just so strange. I think it's just the depth of the water, because it's about 14 foot, I'd imagine. Just having that rod tip low, I think the angle of the line going to the feeder was too shallow. Just having a bit more direct from the feeder up to the rod tip with the rod high. I can see every little knock and bang. It's just made such a massive difference. You normally associate it with fast rivers and bits and pieces, but you know, it's made a big difference here. I've had 3 bites in a row. Before, I just couldn't see nothing. I think I was just missing a lot. Well, I don't know what that is, a sperm or something. Oh dear. Deary, deary, deary. 10 to 8. We'll give it 20. I know there's fish in here. There's a lot of fish in here. It's one of them rivers, especially on the feeder anyway. The bites are just so shy. For whatever reason. I don't know why. Very, very tentative. I bet you as soon as we go on the float, it'll be a completely different story. It'll be like turning a light switch. I've got to have a bit of a bend in this tip, with it being like a 2 ounce tip. Otherwise I'm not going to see anything. And that was just the tiniest of little, it was just a tremble, nothing more than that. It wasn't even a pull. I struck. A lot of people wouldn't even bother striking at some of these, but they're just nipping the bait and just pulling it. I'm not sure if you saw that, but that's ever so slight, tiny little pull. The tiniest pull. It's more like a vibration on the tip. Well, that's enough fun for me on the feeder. 3 minutes past 8. That's enough. I didn't even know it was on. I just brought it in. Ridiculous. Right. Now to get all this junk carried away and get a whip set up. Probably go for, because of the depth, I'll probably set the 7 metre one up, and then I'll probably set a couple of whips up and see if we can get fish shallow and something on the deck as well. Not started feeding yet because of the depth. I want to just find my line where I can run it through. Once I've got it all set, then I'll start feeding some hemp and casters and a few maggots. I've just set up the 7 metre whip. First run through. Little roach. We won't put the net in today. That's fish number 1. Well, 3 for today, but 1 on the whip. It's got the 7 metre whip, what I was using yesterday. The same rig as I was using yesterday. 1.5 gram Avon stick. And I'm just flicking it out, and I've just made up a little bit of ground bait with mainly hemp, a few casters and a few maggots, and that's it. Just because of the depth, I want to get the bait right down. And I'm just flicking it straight out as far as I can get it in, just dragging it back. There's a bit of a ledge. That bloke's just coughing nicely now. Okay, what I'm going to do is just add a little bit of depth on here, or a bit more line, so I've only got it sort of like 6 metres to hand, but I need to put another metre on so I don't have to collapse this whip all the time. Swing it 7 metres to hand. I might be able to get that bit more distance. I'm catching these little bleak one after the other. What I've done is I've put that extra line on, so it's 7 metres to hand. I've just strung out the bolt and sort of like the last half, or the bottom half of the rig. Just at equal distances. It's all nicely just sprung out, shirt button style, in the bottom, just over the last half. And I'm just swinging it over my head so it straightens everything out. Just feeding really soft nuggets of ground bait, a little bit of casters, maggot in it, and some hemp, and then occasionally just catapulting a few maggots over the top. Just get a few fish in the peg hopefully. But typically, I thought, no, you're not going to need the waggler rod today, I'll leave that at home. And I wish I hadn't now. Because there's loads of fish topping, like 2/3 of the way out, just off the end of that cover. And I just think a waggler about 1.5 foot deep out there would be perfect for roach and rudd and stuff. That's why I've strung this out, and just see if I get any signs of fish trying to take it on the drop. And if I do get signs of fish taking it on the drop, I'll probably set up a shallow rig. Let's get my 6 metre whip and put like a 2 foot rig on it, still to hand, still 6 metres to hand, but I just have it about two foot deep, just to see if we're going below the fish. Pretty small. Make a bit of a mush. And get some casters in there, some squats. Dead maggots. I'll put a pinch of this through the feeder. A bit of hemp as well. Try and make a nice roach mix. Catching these little bleak one after the other, but it's not ideal. I've just strung the shot throughout the whole rig now, so I've got a really light shirt button style. I decided to cut the ground bait out and just loose feed a few maggots, casters and hemp. I did lose a decent fish a minute ago, float buried. And I felt his head bang, but just got locked solid in weed. Finally, a decent roach. What I was thinking as well, or what I was contemplating is, a little feeder rod, do what I did last time. So many fish popping out near this cover. Just put a 4 or 5 BD waggler on, get it a 1.5 feet deep. Start catapulting some maggots over there. See if we can catch some fish shallow. I've cut the ground bait out. We're starting to get a few roach now. Another lovely roach. Yeah, just getting plenty of roach and bleak and dace and bits and pieces. Nice. Yeah, just having a bit of fun today.
Yeah.
Trying to catch whatever I can.
I saw them coming to the surface back there.
Yeah, I was just contemplating putting the waggler on and getting over to the other side there, just fishing it shallow. It's all a bit of fun.
Fantastic. I videoed you.
What's that?
I videoed you doing that.
Alright. Yeah, I'm doing the same myself, so for YouTube. So put a few bits on YouTube and Facebook and that.
Yeah? What's your channel called?
The Norfolk Fishing Channel.
Oh right, I'll have a look at that. I worked at the BBC.
Alright. You still work there or you used to?
Retired.
I do a bit of everything really. Bit of beach fishing and a bit of everything. Carp, pike. Anything fishing related.
Have a good
No,
day. Good
no,
luck.
yeah, cheers. Another lovely roach. I'm getting them one after the other now. I might not have to go on the wagon. Another lovely roach. Went quiet for a little bit, so I've introduced another to a ground bait. Brought the bites back again. I think the river's sort of dropping a little bit, so I've just shallowed up about 3 inches. Keep chipping the bottom, but it's not too bad now. Just think it's one of them rivers you can't pile the bait in. I think you just got to put a bit of bait in, catch a few fish, fish it out, and then introduce a little bit more bait. What I've done is, it's gone a bit quiet where I was, so rather than set the wagger up, I've just gone really shallow on here, probably about 2 foot, 2.5 foot deep. I've just been catapulting maggots and casters out, and I'm just catching bleak after bleak after bleak after bleak, shallow. You probably need about 10 for an ounce. You need about 20 of them, I think, for an ounce. So what I'm going to do is just keep adding an inch at a time to see if I can find a few better fish. Oh, missed that one completely. Another lovely roach. I left the peg to settle for about half an hour, messing about, shallow, deck again. Put in 1 board of ground bait and I'll fish it out there. I just think you can very quickly overfeed it. We'll see what we catch up with all the ground bait now. I'm catching plenty of roach now. And the ground bait seems to have brought it back in again. Not loose feeding at all anymore. Strange here to work out, very strange. It's just the problem you got is all the weed, and you know when the float lands good or not, the way it's sort of sitting in the water. I'm only tripping the bottom anyway, or tripping above the weeds. I'm not actually fishing near the bottom, I'm pretty sure. If I was to put a plummet on, I'll be quite off the bottom. Well, I'm all done back at the car. It's coming up to 11:30. Oh, it's so warm as well. It's about 27 degrees. It's a bit disappointing again. I think trip down memory lane on the Wensum is done and dusted now. Talking to a couple of guys, obviously go carping there all the time. They get the occasional bream, they say. It's not guaranteed, but there's always big bream there, but one or two a night maybe. So, but they get them on boilies. So that's sort of done and dusted. Again on the whip, really, you know, probably about a dozen roach, but it's very, very difficult to sort of assess anything there. There's no sort of pattern. A little bit of bait you need. The loose feed sort of made it go a bit funny, but again, too much ground bait made it go funny. Just one or two little balls, fish it out, wait for it to go quiet, and then introduce a bit more bait. But I don't think it's very healthy having that many minnows and bleak and stuff in there. They're just literally the size of your little finger, if that. It's one after the other, and I don't think that's the sign of a very healthy ecosystem for that many sort of what you call scavengers and mop-up fish and bits and pieces, that and sort of gudgeon. There's a lot of them at the bottom of the food chain, and not much, very little roach and rudd, and or certainly on that stretch anyway. This is what I was thinking last year when I raked the peg out at Oak Street. It seemed a lot more roach, and I think that's probably because it's a lot shallower there. There, it's about 14 foot deep, and even though those pegs have been raked out by myself and other people as well, you're still trying to get through a good foot or so of the odd strands off the bottom, which making, you know, presentation difficult. You want to be fishing on the bottom, but you're just forever getting snagged up, or your bolt's getting held up on the weed, and you're striking out for getting bites, and they're just burying into the weed straight away, and you're losing it. It's very difficult to get presentation. It's better on the whip than it was on the feeder. But yeah, it's years ago when that was clear and they used to dredge it, that used to be fantastic for bream, but them days are sadly gone. So that's that little session done and dusted. But I shall be back out tomorrow. I'm going to be heading to the beach tomorrow. Yoo-hoo! And I know it's been rubbish lately for the last month, but it is always this time of year. There's very little coming out. You might be lucky to get a bass at high tide in the gutter, or occasional doggy. So it's just again going to be scratching for bites, and I'll just be thankful. There's always possibility of a flounder or a little dab, but it's been very, very slow. Even, you know, I've watched all the match fishing videos, and it's been very quiet, so I'm not holding my hopes for, if I can get one or two fish, that'd be ideal. But I'm thinking of either Galston Beach or the pier. I'll see yet. I'll make my mind up tonight. Anyway, tight eyes guys, all the best. Thanks for subscribing, thanks for all your comments, thanks for all your views. If you like the video, give it a like, all helps, and I'll see you again next week. Bye for now.